Hi, my name is Jordan Estrada, and I am doing this presentation for my medical terminology class over the anatomy, physiology, and medical terminology of the eye and how it relates to overall healthcare. We're going to go ahead and start with the anatomy of the eye. On this slide, we have a picture of the eyeball labeled with all of the important structures of the eye. However, we are only going to focus on the structures located to the left of that picture. The first structure we're going to look at is the cornea. This is located at the front of the eye and is the clear front window that transmits and focuses light into the eyeball. The cornea is transparent, but it is the outermost layer of the eye and first structure that light touches. The second structure is the iris. This is the colored part of the eye that helps regulate the amount of light that enters through the center, called the pupil. As the iris dilates and constricts, it allows more or less light to enter through the pupil. Next, we have the pupil. This is the dark aperture inside of the iris that determines how much light is let into the rest of the eye. The pupil normally constricts when exposed to large amounts of light and dilates in darker areas. This is because when the pupil dilates and gets larger, more light is able to be let in, allowing us to see better in the dark. The lens is another transparent structure, this time located inside of the eye. The lens focuses the light let in from the pupil onto the retina in the back of the eye. The retina, also known as the nerve layer, lines the back of the eyeball. This area senses the light that is let in and creates electrical impulses that are then sent to the brain. In the middle of the retina is a small central area called the macula. This contains special light-sensitive cells that allow us to see fine details more clearly. The optic nerve is the connection from the eye to the brain. This nerve carries the impulses formed by the retina to the visual cortex of the brain in order to create the images that we see. The final structure of the eye that we will focus on today is the vitreous. This is the clear, jelly-like substance that fills the middle of the eye and gives it its round shape. So now that we've discussed the anatomy of the eye, I would like to go ahead and talk about the physiology as well. We've already discussed a little bit of how the light travels through the eye and creates the images that we see, but I would like to go into a little bit more detail and connect all of the dots. So how does it work exactly? Every image that we see starts off as light. When light hits the outer surface of the eye, it travels through the cornea and to the pupil. The amount of light that is allowed in is regulated by the colored part called the iris. After the light travels in through the pupil, it hits the lens and is then focused onto the retina, which is the nerve layer at the back of the eye. At the retina, the image appears inverted and must be transferred by the optic nerve to the visual cortex of the brain. It is at this spot where the image is flipped and gives us the visual representation of what we see. So now that we know what the eye is made of and how it works, I would like to talk about some important medical terminology. There are many prefixes, root words, and suffixes that make up the medical language, but I would like to focus on a few of the ones that deal specifically with the eye and vision. The words located in the table on the right of the slide are the building blocks for words used by medical professionals when explaining the structures, development, diseases, movements, processes, and overall function of the human eye. Here are some more of these same words located on this next slide. Medical professionals must deal with an immense amount of information when focusing on the human body. In order to make that information more simple, abbreviations have been created in order to shorten terms and phrases full of complicated medical jargon. The abbreviations in the table on the right of the slide and on the slide that follows are some of the medical abbreviations specifically related to the eye. All of these medical terms, as well as the abbreviations, are important when it comes to overall healthcare because, in order for medical professionals to communicate and develop a clear understanding of the human body, there must be a language that they can use in order to discuss specific structures or processes that the body needs. Using these suffixes, prefixes, and root words in combination with others give medical professionals, as well as patients, a more clear understanding of what is going on. Thank you all very much for following along with me, and I hope that you were able to take away from this presentation some new information that will be able to help you in the future.